Well, Dean, let's go ahead and start with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anyone we want to keep in our thoughts and prayers, um, let's just take a moment to think of some. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Some announcements here. Ryla, important dates. Our deadline is this week, April 30th. So if there's any other applicants out there you know of that have the desire to put in an application, please do so soon. We do have the dates are July 26th through the 31st, and our Rotary Visitation Day will be July 28th. So anyone interested in putting that in their calendar and attending on July 28th, just let us know. Yeah. Then we also have the scholarships. Hoping that we've gotten a few more in. I've reached out to a few kids and their parents to make sure the parents kept on about it. So hopefully we get a few more of those in for the scholarship award. And how you can apply for that. There's a link on here as well as our website. So we've
And that
got
deadline is Friday as well.
Friday as well. Okay, good to know. For some reason, I thought that was Saturday, but it's this Friday. Fantastic. So one last chance, and we'll get an Ames High or Gilbert High School senior graduating and get them an application for some money. Arbor Day tree planting. So yeah, this Saturday the city had the Ames Foundation trailer out there. I know our Rotary Club of Ames has been a major sponsor of that in the past, and very organized by Gabby Edwards with the city and several volunteers. We had, as you can see, some photos there of a few of us having fun playing in the dirt. It was a good time. We had 70 trees to plant, and she told us at the beginning there was about 50 volunteers to help out with that effort. So, and these are city trees in front of a neighborhood, so that right away that the city owns. Just trying to improve that neighborhood with some beautiful trees. They do have more projects in the future, which is part of my presidency. I wanted to try to plant a tree for everyone in our club. I'm still working towards that. It might carry into the fall, but I'm staying in touch with those folks with the Ames Foundation and the City of Ames. So good times had by all. You can see Lily there in one of the photos from Rotarac. That was fun to have her there. A couple photos there. That was a good time. We learned a lot about planting trees too. Which, if you didn't know, I'll just real quickly say, when you take the tree out of the big, 2, 3, 4 gallon, whatever black container it's in, those roots start to go around in circular fashion, and you got to break those up so that the tree doesn't continue to have the root system go that way. So you kind of break them up and then plant your tree. So, if little helpful tip, in case anybody out there has got some trees they want to plant this spring. All right. That was something new to me. My wife was like, that's how you do plants in the garden too. You got to get their roots all loosened up. So anyway, volunteer help for the Special Olympics of Iowa. The opening ceremonies are Thursday, May 21st at 5 p.m. Tradition for over 30 years with our Rotary Club volunteering for that. You can send your full name, email, date of birth are all required. You can send those to Lisa to get on that list to help out over at Hilton Coliseum for the Special Olympics. So put that on your calendar if you're able to make it on that Thursday, 21st at 5 p.m., which is not that far away now. We are almost to May. Um, Then we also have some volunteers. We're looking for buddies to assist players on the field for the Miracle League this spring. Looks like the schedule at 9 a.m. May 9th, 16th, and 30th. And then in June, it's at 10 a.m. on the 6th, 13th, and 20th. Um, I mean, they'll take as many volunteers as possible. So the more the merrier there. Um, whether you're a seasoned volunteer or the first timer, your energy makes all the difference. So let's help go support the Miracle League and the kids out there having an enjoyable Saturday this summer. I'm going to turn this over to Allison. She's going to do a membership campaign update.
Okay, I'm not muted, right?
You're good. You're good.
Uh, okay, so Randy's on an airplane right at the moment. So we continue to work on the prospect list. We're up to 135 prospects. He sent over 50, well, he sent quite a few emails. Over 50 of them were actually delivered, and we've had 20 people already respond and reply in one way or another. And so we actually have 9 people scheduled to attend a meeting in May. And he is pushing the goal up to 200 prospects. So please continue to email Rotary Club of Ames at Gmail with any ideas of people that you think would be good potential members. And here's our list of who will be attending at our May meetings. On May 4th, we have Renee Klaus. Her dad was a longtime member. Marcus Johnson from the Mucky Duck. Chad Bloomker from New York Life. He's attended a couple of times and is very committed to get his membership application in May. And Kelsey Lint from Tenfold Architecture and Engineering. So they'll be joining us on May 4th, and we do have hosts assigned to each one of them, and they'll be spreading out around the room. So if you end up at a table with a potential member, please do your best to talk up the values of Rotary and why they should become a member. And then on May 18th, we actually have 5 people joining us. Jason Keith with ISU. Kim Bloom is a realtor with Century 21. Pat Jackson from Bankers Trust. Amy Lang from Members First. And Raj Aganorti, who is the Dean of the Ivy College of Business. And then a few that have shown interest but haven't committed to a date. One said hopefully in June. One actually said it's on her calendar for September, and then a couple others that Randy is working with. So very exciting. Just remember, we're working towards 200 prospects, and then we'll take it from there, and just be ready to welcome them when they come to our May meetings. So I think that's all I have.
Fantastic. That's a
For
great
announcement.
list. Thanks everyone who's contributed to it. I know Randy would echo all of that. Thank you, Allison, for delivering that message. Perfect. I think we're time for main speaker. Can turn it over to Tammy to introduce our guest speaker for today. Tammy?
Great, thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce Katelyn Rinicker, who joined Prairie Rivers of Iowa in July of 2024 as the Pollinator Conservation Specialist. She graduated from Bemidji State University in 2021 with a bachelor's degree in environmental studies with an emphasis on ecosystems and minors in sustainability, indigenous sustainability, and GIS. Following college, Katelyn joined the Conservation Corps of Minnesota and Iowa to collect data on monarch butterflies. In her second term there, she worked under Polk County Conservation Natural Resources, harvesting seed from prairie plants, restoring native habitat, conducting tree stand improvement projects, and prescribed burning. In her free time, she works on a garden and backyard prairie strip with her husband. Welcome, Katelyn.
Hello, thank you guys for having me. I will share my screen. All right, so I am representing Prairie Rivers of Iowa. We're a nonprofit. Again, I'm Katelyn Rinicker, Pollinator Conservation Specialist for this group. So we are an environmental 501(c)(3) nonprofit. We're in Ames, that's where our office is. We were founded in 2001 and initially a part of the USDA's Natural Resource Conservation Service, or NRCS. We did projects in Boone, Hardin, Hamilton, Marshall, Story, Webster counties. But now we're an independent nonprofit organization with a board of directors, and our programs have expanded to cover more of the state. Really, if there's a need in Iowa, we are more than happy to be there and helping out. We focus on conservation, education, and community development, and our mission connects the environmental work with supporting strong, vibrant communities. Our mission being to promote economic development through restoration and conservation of Iowa's cultural and natural resources. We have four main goals, and they guide everything we do from our conservation work to our education and outreach. We want to protect and enhance the environment, promote natural and cultural resources, support rural communities, and increase public awareness and education. So we've worked on a wide range of programs over the years, one of them being our local foods program. We developed gardens at Kate Mitchell and Sawyer Elementary Schools in Ames. We've hosted Grow Your Small Market business planning for over 500 farms in Iowa. For 3 years, we held a Story County local food cycle event. We've also co-hosted AmeriCorps for 4 years with Volunteer Center of Iowa County, or Story County. Um, Another large program in our past was our log products program. Uh, we milled white oak logs, and we were able to connect with local county conservation parks to use these logs to build cabins and bring more goodness. Sorry, I'm rambling, but more people to these parks. And then we've got our watersheds in Boone and South Skunk. Um, we've supported landowners with assistance in accessing and implementing programs for conservation practices like cover crops and bioreactors and native plantings. We want to improve the soil and water quality using those. In 2017, Prairie Rivers of Iowa held a field day at the Larry Heron Farm in Webster City in partnership with Iowa Learning Farms and Clean Water Iowa for an oxbow restoration. So that's what our lower left picture is that oxbow restoration. We've hosted plenty of field days. That was just a highlight in our past. So our current programs are watersheds, which we monitor local waterways and we do a lot of data analysis and data communication with that. We also have a byways program where we manage the Lincoln Highway Heritage Byway and Iowa Valley Scenic Byway. And then Pollinator Conservation Program, which is what I do. I help facilitate the pollinator-friendly aims and manage our native seed bank. And these are just snapshots, so a little more depth. Our watersheds program, we implement conservation practices to improve soil health and water quality on our landscapes. We educate citizens about soil health, water quality, and watershed topics. We've conducted many, many field days for landowners over the years. We've developed a 10-year water monitoring plan for Story County. We help landowners, producers, and local governments improve soil health and reduce nutrients and harmful runoff. And we also test and monitor local waterways, analyze data, and communicate those results in an easy to understand way. Our Lincoln Highway Heritage Byway is half of our byways program. Our byways coordinator takes care of the Lincoln Highway Heritage Byway and the Iowa Valley Scenic Byway. We have been working with the Iowa DOT for over 20 years now. The Lincoln Highway Heritage Byway is one of Iowa's no, is Iowa's largest and most historic byway, traveling through more than 460 miles of history, recreation, and small town experiences. And it was also the first improved highway across the United States. The Lincoln Highway travels through 12 counties and 43 communities, and roughly a third of Iowans live in the Iowa Highway Heritage Byway corridor. So we get a lot of interaction with local Iowans. Uh, a little timeline is 2006, we became a byway in the DOT Scenic Byway Program. From 2006 to 2013, the Lincoln Highway Association and communities mapped resources. The DOT placed signs along the route. 2014, the Kids on the Byway program started. We also had the artists for the State Fair Butter Cow feature Lincoln Highway Heritage Byway through their sculptures, so that was really awesome for us. In 2015 to 2019, we've created 20 interpretive signs at historic sites, roughly from West Side to Tama. We hosted 59 educational presentations. We had media coverage, including being featured in the Iowan Magazine. We've promoted and assisted with the Military Vehicle Preservation Association and the Lincoln Highway Military Convoy Centennial Tours. And in 2021, we were officially designated as a National Scenic Byway. 2022 to 24, we created an oral history video for Reed Station in Colo. The Iowa Byways Passport Program also featured us. We created a traveling exhibit called The Promise Road, How the Lincoln Highway Changed America. And we started a social media campaign called Where Was I on the Byway to gain more interest in those using social media. And in 2025 to 26, we've completed an inventory of all National Historic Registry listed properties within the byway corridor. We have also helped establish the Reed Nyland Corner Inc., which is a nonprofit for the conservation of the historic cafe, motel, and gas station in Colo. We've replaced signs marking the seedling mile. We've continued to establish interpreted signage and large kiosks along byway. And we also started the social media campaign in celebration of the 250th birthday of America called America 250 Stops in 250 Days, featuring stops along the Iowa Lincoln Highway Heritage Byway every day. So the other half of our byway coordinator's job is to manage the Iowa Valley Scenic Byway. This is a 77-mile road through the Iowa River Valley. It is anchored by two distinct cultures. So at the western end of the byway is Iowa's only Native American community, the Meskwaki settlement, and at the eastern end are the 7 villages of the Amana colonies. So the Amana colonies were created as a communal society in 1855 by Germans who were fleeing religious persecution. So both of these communities are very rooted where they are, and we're happy to be able to work with them on projects. In 2003, that is when we started the management of this byway and promoted it at the Iowa State Fair. In 2024, we built an online app for the byway and an audio tour. In 2025, we started the social media campaign Where Was I on the app to promote that. In 26, we have the Where Was I on the Iowa Valley Scenic Byway social media campaign. We've been developing interpretive signage, and we are currently updating our audio tour and our app. So now we're going to get into pollinator conservation, which is my bread and butter. That's what I do, and I love it so much. It's my real passion. So in Iowa, there are 110 species of native butterfly, 2,000 species of native moth, and almost 400 species of native bee. And unfortunately, many of these species are at risk of extinction. Their populations are drastically declining. And just to pull our scope out a little bit, pollinators aren't just bees. They're really any animal that moves pollen from flower to flower. So this job, it encompasses creating habitat for a wide variety of animals and not just insects as well. So pollinators are suffering a death by a thousand cuts, unfortunately. And this means that there just isn't one very obvious driver of population decline, but instead many smaller drivers that all need to be dealt with. The leading causes are climate change, pesticide use, and habitat fragmentation and loss. Climate change affects insects because they use temperature and the sun to tell them when to forage, sleep, hibernate, mate. Really, everything they do depends on these environmental factors. And when those change, it really affects them. And that can cause shifts. Climate change can cause shifts in the growing and blooming seasons of plants, which means that if we have a butterfly that has a host plant that is now blooming at a different time, those
What's going on?
butterflies might not be able to find them. Or we have specialist bees that specifically eat plant or flowering plants, pollen and nectar only. So if those are blooming at a different time, it is very hard for them to find those, and they might not survive because those timings are wrong. It also changes migration patterns, especially for butterflies. We've seen this change happen in monarchs. Um, so if it's warm at the end of the season, the monarchs don't know it's time to migrate, and so they stick around, and then all of a sudden it's cold and they die because they don't have enough warmth from the sun. We also see a lot of harm from pesticides. So Iowa is the leading state in corn and soybean growth. That shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. But this also leads into Iowa farmers using more weed killers and applying more commercial fertilizer every year than any other state, which are both known to contaminate soil and water and leave pesticide residue. Coated seeds, specifically with neonicotinoids, can drift to non-target sites, exposing bees and our beneficial insects to that pesticide. Just one treated seed can have enough active ingredient to kill 250,000 bees or one songbird if eaten. Only about 2 to 5% of pesticide actually gets onto their target plants, and 94% moves into the soil or groundwater, and 1% moves via dust. So there's something that needs to be done with that process because it's just not working when only 2 to 5% gets to where it needs to be. When flowers take up neonicotinoid or other specific chemicals, it can spread throughout its tissues, making it systemically toxic, meaning that everything is toxic. The pollen, the nectar, the stem, leaves, everything. So when it's eaten by animals, they are then getting that toxin in them. And when bees and butterflies go to nectar on them or take that pollen, they are then being exposed to specifically neonicotinoids, and they are dying because of that. And with just a little water, neonics or neonicotinoids are ready to move. So if it's applied as a soil drench, it's also drenching the nests of our native bees, which about 70% of our native bees are ground nesting. So if there's dirt, they're trying to nest in that soil, and we have a lot of exposed dirt in agricultural fields. It can also persist up to several years in the soil. Habitat fragmentation and loss means that these insects and pollinators have nowhere to live. They have no food sources. Lepidoptera, so our butterflies and moths, are most affected by this. And a couple large examples of this habitat fragmentation and loss are urbanization, building of cities, deforestation, getting rid of our forests, and cropland creation. Someone needs to speak up for these essential little creatures, and that's what my job's all about. So I want to talk about a handful of projects that I'm helping to fulfill my goal with next. I help facilitate pollinator-friendly Ames. It's about 20 volunteers in a group dedicated to making Ames a better place for people and pollinators alike. It is a 10-year plan, and it started in 2023 and will end in 2033. Work with the Public Works Department at the City of Ames, and without the help from City of Ames, we would not be able to make all of the change that we're doing, and having those city contacts are essential to our work. We have 4 main goals, which are to increase native habitat in Ames, monitor pollinator abundance and diversity, reduce pesticide use and raise awareness. And actually this year we'll be able to be at the Ames Farmers Market once a month, spreading information on the group and pollinator friendly practices. We are super excited for that. I also manage Prairie River of Iowa's native seed bank. So this is one of the easiest ways for people to get into native plants. Our seed bank is designed to make native plants accessible to everyone. We offer high quality, locally appropriate seeds, and it's open to the public. It's funded by free will donations, so people can take what they need regardless of their budget. Our real goal is just to get native habitat back into yards and across Iowa. People can visit us Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 p.m. I do recognize that these times can be hard for those that are working, so people are more than welcome to set up an appointment with me to figure out a time that does work for them. I'm also happy to help them choose seeds or answer any questions when they come in. Native plants are important because they improve our water quality, they reduce runoff, they stabilize our soil, they provide essential food and resources for wildlife, and they also require less inputs than lawn. A little bit more on that, why you should have native plants, and kind of why I advocate for them. Because it creates that habitat, it also helps build the soil up and create organic matter and prevent compaction with its really deep roots, which is what I have pictured here. I love this graphic. It is mind-blowing to see because some roots from native plants can go about 15 feet deep. If you see on the left side of this here, we can see this is turf grass, and that's only a couple inches deep. Whereas I think the shortest native plant on here is June grass, which is off to the right side, and that's has roots roughly 2 feet deep. So there's a big difference there, especially with aeration, improving drought resilience. These roots help filter pollutants and they slow water down as it rains, so it's not going as quickly into our streams. This also supports beneficial microbes in soil structure, and it feeds our beneficial fungus and bacteria. And over time, it also helps soil become spongier and healthier, meaning there will be better plant growth and even better soil. So it's just a good cycle there. So I also do a lot of events and outreach. One of the big events that I have been planning is Monarch Magic, which will be August 29th. It is a family-friendly event, and this is the 4th year it'll be planned and my 3rd year planning it. We have quite a few local partners that table and have crafts for kids. There's no cost to this event, so it's just welcome to anybody who wants to stop by. We're at Ada Hayden Heritage Park. And we've had over 500 people participate in it over our previous 3 years. I'm also planning a native plant ID workshop on June 18th. I'm working with Tom Rosberg and Michaela Hageman. The details for that are still being determined. That is being supported by a grant from the Iowa Native Plant Society. I'm also conducting an EcoChat webinar series. Our first one is on June 16th with Good Neighbor Iowa, and they're going to present on the effects of pesticides and how to reduce their use. I'm helping design a birding itinerary for Boone County with INHF and Bird Friendly Iowa. I also do a lot of presentations about our native seed bank and plantings at local libraries. I've done 4 of those talks so far this year, and I have 5 more planned for this year as well. And I've also been able to present at 2 conferences in 2026. I also do a lot of tabling, getting the word out there about Prairie Rivers. I do events like this. And I love bringing things for kids to really see root depth and the importance of native plants and habitat. And you can see those in those 2 pictures. they're able to pull the string out of that box, and that'll show them how far or how deep those plants' roots are. They absolutely love that. So that's what Prairie Rivers is all about, and a little deeper dive into what I've been working on. So if there's any questions, I'd love to answer.
Caitlin, we have several in the chat. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, okay, I see. Um, so what happened to all the wildflowers that were seeded 10 to 12 years ago along the interstates in Iowa? I don't know. I moved to Iowa, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, so that was before I was here. Um, that would be a discussion with the Iowa DOT and what their practices are. And then how do we measure how much pesticide and herbicide is used in Iowa, and what are we compared to nationally? So that that data that I used is from a study that looked at all of the counties in Iowa, and Story County specifically was really was one of the higher using counties, and Iowa overall compared to the rest of the United States was one of the higher ones as well. Are granular weed and feed products better for weed control versus liquid applications to help limit pollinator decline? Personally, I would say that a liquid application of a pesticide or herbicide, when it is targeted, and you're using spot treatment and you're using it as specified on the labeling on the package, is probably better than granular, because granular can, it sticks around for a little bit. And so when it's a liquid, it will target that specific weed right away rather than sticking around on the soil. Would I recommend getting rid of dandelions and such to not harm pollinators? I wouldn't recommend getting rid of them because dandelions are often, in a lot of urban settings, the only food source that they get in the spring. If you're treating your yards and you're coating them in pesticides, then yes, I would get rid of them because that could harm them. But a good solution to that is to just not treat your yards. Um, and the whole reason that dandelions are important in spring is because they don't have a lot of other plants to choose from. So another way to help them out is to plant Virginia bluebells, which are an early season, early blooming native plant, or Ohio spiderwort, which should be blooming in May here sometime. There's a couple other early bloomers as well. And they don't have to be native plants. I personally, I prefer native plants because those are what have co-evolved here. But honestly, just having flowers that provide nectar is really important. And if you're buying them from a big box store, you need to make sure they aren't coated in a pesticide. A lot of stores will spray their plants with pesticide to make sure that they stay pretty and that insects don't eat them. However, plants are meant to be eaten by insects personally, so just making sure on that. Does the Iowa-Lincoln Highway still do a newsletter? I know that Prairie Rivers of Iowa has a newsletter, and you can sign up for that on our website. And we include events that are happening on the the Iowa Valley Scenic Byway and the Lincoln Highway Heritage Byway. So those are on our newsletter if you're interested in that. I'm not sure if they do their own specific newsletter though. Let's see. How much time do I have for questions? Just out of curiosity.
You've got till 1 o'clock.
Oh, perfect. So I started a pollinator garden with the help of a neighbor who is a master gardener. This will be the 4th year, and today I am not seeing a lot of butterflies. Is this to be expected? It is really early in the season still, so I have only seen 2 or 3 butterflies so far this season, and my yard has a lot of spring blooming flowers. So I've seen red admirals and eastern tiger swallowtails, and just a handful of sulfur butterflies as well. So I haven't seen a whole lot yet, so I think they might just not be here yet. I mentioned some watershed projects. Did we help out with Ada Hayden, because that watershed system is very impressive, and do we help local landowners with small flat land watershed systems? I don't believe we helped out at Ada Hayden, but I am also not our water quality specialist. They would probably know more on their past projects, but I'm sure that our water quality specialist would be happy to help local landowners within the watershed systems. We are actually currently between watershed quality specialists, but we are in the process of trying to hire someone new, which I'm pretty sure that's going well. We've had a lot of applicants, so. All right. Which of these plants do we see along the Iowa highways? It depends where you're at. A lot of the time you will see foxglove beard tongue, which is kind of a white flower, and it'll have a bunch of flowers on a stalk. You'll also see a lot of pale purple coneflower. I know I've seen rattlesnake master, which doesn't look like a flower, but it has really tiny flowers, which is very fun. Those are the main ones I typically see, but it really depends where you're at. Okay. I have a prairie at my home, but need some added prairie plants. Is your office the location to get some packages of seed? What is your office address? So our office is where you can come get some native seed from our native seed bank. I had talked about being open 9 to 4, but you can contact me if that doesn't work for you. We are at 3, oh my gosh, I'm gonna say it wrong if I don't. 3116 South Dove Avenue, Suite 201 in Ames here. And that is also, if you just look up Prairie Rivers, it's on Google too. If you email me, it'll be in my email signature. And our website also has all of our available seed as well. So you can kind of pre-plan with that. All right. I live at Little Wall Lake. We love having the cabins at the lake. They are rented year-round. There are also cabins at Briggs Woods in Webster City. Are you still involved in building more cabins? We are not. I don't think we've built cabins probably since the ones over in Webster. Let's see. I also have most of my backyard forested with trees. Do you promote shade-tolerant ground cover plants for placement under trees like ginger or umbrella plants? Actually, with a recent grant from the Isaac Walton League, we were able to buy more shade-tolerant seeds for our native seed bank to help promote that because um a lot of households within the city have trees that shade out most of their yard, so your typical prairie plants that need full sun just aren't going to work. Um, so we do have a whole bunch of shade tolerant plants now. And that again would be on our website under our native seed bank. So all of the information for all of our seeds should be on there. What do the letters on our web address stand for? So PRRCD. So Prairie Rivers, RC and D, which an RC and D was resource and development, I believe. And so as part of getting funding from the government, we were an RC&D, and so our legal name is Prairie Rivers of Iowa RC&D, so we still carry that. Um, so that's what that stands for. Resource conservation developments. We haven't really used that title in a long time, but so we have another one that says it's really not practical with shutting down roads, but has Ragbri ever done a focused Lincoln Highway route? That would be amazing. I am not sure. I don't think it's been completely focused, but that's a great idea that I will write down and give to our byway coordinator for the future. So thanks for that idea. Any other questions or comments?
Katelyn, when I worked for the Ames Convention and Visitors Bureau, so it would have been, gosh, 2016 or 2018, the National Lincoln Highway Organization did a tour from California to New York on the Lincoln Highway, and they spent a couple of days in Ames, and that was really cool. Just a lot of old cars and um, a lot of historic um, programming. So yeah, that was cool.
That's awesome. I know they're
I
going
think that
through
they
Boone
tried to
counties.
follow the route as much as they could. I mean, the original route, which is not all Highway 30 anymore. So yeah, it's kind of fun.
That's awesome. Any more questions for Katelyn? That was a great group of questions from everyone. I like that reg bright idea. That was my question. I was one of my questions. I really think that would be awesome. Very difficult, I'm sure. Well, seeing no other questions, Katelyn, thank you so much for bringing Prairie Rivers of Iowa to us today and talking about the watershed, the Lincoln Highway, pollinator conservation. Clearly, you are passionate about pollinator conservation. That is awesome. I've seen. I'll just make a quick comment about the the Monarch fueling stations. I've seen Lincoln Highway Energy had one. I think they put a sign up. Kind of did a little investigative work myself on that. And have you worked with or been a part of those at all?
Um, I have looked into and suggested signs like for the Monarch way stations from the Xerces Society. So if somebody really wants specific signage for the garden, which is a great way to get the word out, I'll recommend those. As for that specific program, I haven't really worked with it, but I do have a couple people right now that I'm helping create pollinator gardens with. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, keep up the good work. Appreciate your time today. And yeah, from everyone, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
thanks.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think for the day, I think that's really all the announcement we had. Um, Everyone have a great week and please join me in our four-way test. Things you think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it bring goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, everyone. Have a great week. We'll see you next week in person. Thanks, everybody. Great job, Katelyn. Thanks again.